everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Collection Comic of the Week. The book for this week is a continuation of the four-part arc that we are doing here in the month of September, and it is the missing piece of this story arc for many, many years for me. It is Peter Parker Spider-Man number 29. This was part 3 of the 4-part series, but this was the book that they did not have at the Kroger when I was buying this whole story, and I just kind of had to wonder what happened, how the bad guy got stopped in between parts 2 and 4. So I just kind of went like, well, he got stopped, and I felt a little like I didn't understand. I felt a lot like I didn't understand, I should say, because it's just like, okay, well, all right. And then the part that maybe I was, at the time, a little less interested in, even though I maybe understood things a little bit better, was concluded in part 4, which was just kind of what was going on with Peter and Mary Jane. And this was a long time coming to explain what happened, but finally, 10 years later, having my own job, my own money, and my own freedoms, and the ability to get online and look it up, purchased this book on mycomicshop.com, got it delivered to my house, and then read, kind of like what I'm doing right here, read all 4 parts to finally understand everything. And it brought about 10 years worth of closure, and definitely made me feel more satisfied about everything. But it's also, it's also a different sort of book. And yeah, let's check it out. I actually have a photo as the cover, and even like in the corner, they have the website that did the model and the photography there. So kind of a little something different than I'm even used to seeing now, much less when I bought this 10 years ago and when I was aware of its existence 20 years ago. So, open it up, and we're seeing Peter kind of being mentally taken advantage of by the villain there. And there's just, a lot of, it's a different sort of villain, like it's kind of like almost Professor X, but it's like needing, it's a complicated story. It's something, as we skim and get a feel of what this story was, the meat and potatoes of this story is very interesting. It's maybe not for everyone, as far as this portion of it and the bad guy and everything, but and you really, especially everything else though, I really like with just how dedicated Peter is to MJ. But it's a different sort of villain, at least in terms of like what his abilities are, and like how the abilities of the character translates to a story. And gotta love Mr. Atlas. More of that. Just really, like, there's not really a whole lot to say. Like, this is one of these books that you gotta read it to appreciate. You can't just skim and look at the pictures and really understand that, like, how deep this kind of story was. And it's something that maybe if I had picked this up, because I've mentioned the last 2 weeks where I noticed the shift in storytelling to where
I kind of noticed there was more there than the action. But like, even maybe it was better that I picked this up at age 21, 22 instead of reading it at age 11, 12, because I was really able to comprehend, you know, through being an adult, you know, the full magnitude of everything that was going on, not just with the action, but with the story, and with, you know, the thoughts of love and things of that nature. You know, missing someone, wanting to be around somebody, depression, separation anxiety, like all those different themes are prevalent in this book. And, you know, while I would have liked to have had, you know, that missing piece of the puzzle in 2001, maybe I wouldn't have understood it and appreciate it as much as I was able to when I was finally able to fill that gap 10 years later. And we see here, the bad guy kills himself and lets himself blow up. And Peter goes back to MJ in the hospital, and he asks, "Are you real?" And just grabs on. Like, this was deep, you know. And yeah, you know, I could relate to this better than maybe I did, definitely than I could have in 2001. But yeah, that is Peter Parker Spider-Man, issue 29.
You know, it was a very different villain. It's a very different sort of story than I was used to. And, you know, you see in comics nowadays, you know, this was 20 years ago, a lot more stories like this kind of happen. May not necessarily the same superpowers, but just similar types of stories. But, you know, this was new to me. And like I said, maybe it is better that I read that particular portion of it as an adult than as a preteen. Because while I knew there was more to comic books at that time than just action and adventure, I was able to fully grasp what Peter was feeling to an extent more as a man rather than as a child. Do you also own that book? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of comic books, but from the world of pro wrestling, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeekA9, Twitter athletic_geekA9, Instagram @athleticgeekA9. And if you'd like to help improve this channel financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeekA9. And that, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Later.